Every year on Halloween, a terrifying monster awakens in the town. It heads towards the church, destroying everything in its path. If the pumpkin-headed creature manages to reach the church before midnight, something dreadful will occur. Only local teenagers can stop the monster, but they have no idea who is hiding behind the pumpkin in reality. The story unfolds in the 1960s in a small American town. As Halloween approaches, a group of masked teenagers sets out to find a monster named Jack Sawtooth in a cornfield. One guy falls behind, and the creepy Sawtooth finds him. Terrified, the guy wets himself, and then Jack sets him on fire. The other enraged teens chase Sawtooth, who is heading towards the church. The bravest of the group, a guy named Jim, confronts the monster, beats him, and sends him to the afterlife. Afterward, the guys retrieve sweets from Sawtooth and feast on them. Stuffed, they lift Jim on their shoulders and enthusiastically congratulate him on the victory. The town was saved this year. The town's elite, known as the Harvest Guild, throws a celebration in Jim's honor. He is awarded a $25,000 check, and his family receives a huge house in a prestigious neighborhood. Jim also gets a new Chevrolet Corvette and immediately leaves town. A happy Jim bids farewell to his parents and his younger brother named Richie. Richie struggles with the separation from his brother and hopes for his swift return. Jim gets into the car and drives out of town into a bright future. Almost a year has passed. 5 days remain until Halloween. Richie arrives at school. After classes, the sheriff gathers all boys over 18 in the hall and informs them about the Halloween monster. It must be eliminated at any cost. Otherwise, it will destroy the entire harvest, leaving the town with nothing to eat. Additionally, something terrible will happen, which the sheriff doesn't explain.
Your sacred duty is to take down Sawtooth Jack before that church bell rings at midnight.
Someone among the 18-year-old guys has to undertake this task. To prepare the hunters for Sawtooth Jack, they will be confined to rooms for 3 days without water and food. The sheriff believes this will evoke the teenagers' strength to confront Sawtooth Jack. The ultimate victor will receive money, a house for their family, fame, and a cool car. However, the monster proves to be formidable, and not all hunters manage to survive the encounter. A guy named Riley mocks Richie, accompanied by his friends, because Richie's brother Jim didn't include him in the better life after last year's victory. Richie is irked by the teasing, and he's determined to participate in this year's hunt to prove his own mettle. A scuffle breaks out, leading to Richie and Riley being expelled from the hall. To escape the tormentor, Richie seeks refuge in a movie theater where he meets a girl named Kelly. Richie feels a connection with her and invites her to a dance after his anticipated triumph over Sawtooth Jack. Despite warnings from friends about Kelly's troubled history of setting fire to buildings in town, Richie remains undeterred. Despite the encouragement from town residents and Richie's friends to join the hunt, it goes against the rules because family members are not supposed to receive such a substantial reward for victory. Consequently, Richie's parents adamantly forbid him from participating in the hunt. Their peculiar and highly nervous behavior only fuels Richie's frustration. His father resorts to physical discipline, and his mother dismissively labels him a baby. An incensed Richie sneaks out in the middle of the night and heads to the house where his family used to live. Jim's girlfriend also arrives, expressing her longing for her absent lover. Simultaneously, a menacing farmer with a shovel infiltrates the cornfield, where a structure resembling a large crucifix stands. He carves Jack Sawtooth's head from a pumpkin and places it on a corpse tethered to the crucifix. Unaware of the events in the field, Richie calmly returns home at dawn. Unexpectedly, Riley and his friend catch up with him, assault him, and seize his cherished belt, a significant memento from his brother. Bruised and battered, Richie approaches his house and retrieves a letter from Jim in the mailbox. Jim expresses his desire to return home and work at the factory but laments that his hero status impedes this. Jim implores Richie not to partake in the hunt, warning that it could ruin his life. Perplexed by the unfolding events, Richie absconds with a car in an attempt to leave town. However, at the town's exit, the sheriff intercepts him and calms him down with a baton. The parents confine all the 18-year-old guys to rooms for 3 days without water and food. In these trying conditions, the guys become unruly, shouting and harboring resentment.
Open the fucking door! Open the fucking door!
Halloween arrives. The farmer takes down Sawtooth Jack from the crucifix and sows candies inside it. The scarecrow comes to life. Parents release their enraged sons from confinement, and they, wearing scary masks and makeshift weapons, rush to the outskirts of the town to deal with Sawtooth. However, Richie wasn't in confinement. He had slept through the 3 days after his encounter with the sheriff. Finally waking up, Richie immediately encounters his father. His father pleads with Richie not to participate in the hunt and instead go work at the factory after school. But Richie rudely brushes off his father and hurries off to join the hunt. Richie's friends devise a clever plan, drive to the cornfield and hit Sawtooth Jack with a car. As this is against the rules, other teenagers protest and get into a brawl. With Richie's help, the group manages to escape in the car. On the way, friends put on masks, and suddenly, one of them named Bud has a panic attack. He recalls seeing Sawtooth Jack from his childhood window, looking terrifying and wreaking havoc on the streets. The group reaches the field and successfully hits the monster. Their car immediately stalls, and Sawtooth Jack disappears from the road. The friends arm themselves and search the field. There, they find candies spilled from Sawtooth and greedily consume them. Soon, they spot Sawtooth in the middle of the field and run toward him with pitchforks. The monster takes down almost everyone chasing him. Richie tries to escape but comes face to face with Sawtooth. Frightened, Richie miraculously reaches the center of the field. Shortly after, Kelly joins him, even though, according to the rules, girls aren't allowed to participate. But technically, Richie shouldn't be there either. The two form an alliance fueled by rebellion and come up with a plan. Meanwhile, Bud, witnessing what happened to his friends, runs in horror from the field. He knocks on his home's door, but his mother refuses to let him in.
I don't want to die.
To his front.
Mommy.
Go, mommy, please.
Parents eject the boy from their home because they need his victory and a new house in an upscale neighborhood. A little child from a neighboring house screams at Bud to hurry away, as Sawtooth is getting close. Bud attempts to get into the basement, where younger teenagers are hiding. Initially, they refuse to let him in, but eventually, the door opens. However, it's not Bud who bursts into the basement but Sawtooth Jack. He spares no one. Richie and Kelly also leave the field, sneak into the sheriff's house, and quietly steal a pistol. While the sheriff breaks into the adjacent house, Richie and Kelly steal his car. Via the police radio, the duo learns that Sawtooth was spotted in the town center. The two head there. In the town, chaos ensues even without the monster's involvement. Insane and hungry teenagers take down the store owner and steal food. Here, Richie encounters the troublemaker Riley. A fight ensues, in which with Kelly's help, Richie manages to win and reclaim his belt. Amid the general chaos, everyone forgets about Sawtooth, but he continues to seek new victims. Sitting in the car, Richie and Kelly discuss that the Harvest Guild controls everything in the town. Leaving without their permission is even prohibited. The rebellious couple is not pleased with this. Kelly lost her parents a year ago, so she has nothing to lose. Richie also wants to leave the town and reunite with his brother, whom he misses greatly. But for now, the only chance for the lovers to leave the town is to destroy Sawtooth. So, they set out to find him, hearing a radio message that the monster is still wandering around the town. In reality, it's the sheriff preparing a trap for the youngsters. Soon, Richie and Kelly indeed encounter Sawtooth, who menacingly approaches them. Richie wants to shoot the monster but suddenly notices a belt on him identical to his own brother Jim's. Richie gazes into the monster's eyes, and his suspicion arises. However, Kelly attacks Sawtooth, ruining the moment of revelation. The monster retreats, and the couple returns to the car. Richie wants to say something crucial, but then the sheriff tackles him. The policeman informs Kelly that he was the one who eliminated her parents when they tried to escape the town. Enraged, Kelly attacks the sheriff, and the couple manages to escape. Kelly is injured. Richie takes her to his home, where he encounters his highly medicated mother. The woman philosophizes deliriously while Richie questions her about what happened to all the previous winners of the Sawtooth hunt. It turns out that no one has seen them after their victories. Reluctantly, the mother hints that what's happening in the town is much scarier than it seems.
Tell me the truth. Please. It has to end.
The mother implores Richie to end it all and abruptly takes her own life. Richie is left in shock. Meanwhile, Sawtooth Jack arrives at the old house where Richie's family lived. He scrutinizes the walls and sets the house ablaze using the supernatural abilities of his pumpkin-headed form. Richie's father meets with the sheriff, expressing that he can't endure this any longer. The sheriff hints that he will strip their family of everything if they don't remain silent. It seems Richie's father wants to save Sawtooth Jack, but the sheriff prohibits it. If the monster reaches the church, the entire town will be plunged into darkness, a scenario that has happened before. At the same time, Kelly suggests to Richie that they escape the town right now while everyone is preoccupied with the hunt. However, Richie wants to first expose the horrifying secret enveloping the town. With 10 minutes left until midnight, Sawtooth Jack approaches the church. The sheriff heads there, bringing Riley along. Richie and Kelly also arrive at the church. Inside, Richie encounters his father. Both of them know that Sawtooth Jack is not a monster but a disfigured Jim. This fate befalls every winner of the hunt. They vanish after Halloween, only to become the next Sawtooth Jack a year later. This gruesome ritual has been ongoing in the town for years. A year ago, after Jim's victory, Richie's father was still unaware of what awaited his elder son. Later, the Harvest Guild provided their family with a new home and revealed the truth. The parents were forced to keep silent, or else the sheriff would eliminate them.
If you're born in this town, you're cursed. They would have murdered us.
The Harvest Guild orchestrates all of it and the sheriff is just a pawn in their game. Richie's father pleads with him to stay safe and not interfere with the reckoning upon Jim. However, Richie no longer wants to listen to his father and sees him as a traitor. He can't comprehend how his father could exchange Jim for money, a house, and a car. Richie screams at his father and goes out to the street to save his brother. Jim is approaching the church. Richie shouts from a distance that everything is fine and calls him over. He walks towards his brother with open arms. However, Riley, who arrived in time, shoots Jim. The sheriff had given him a gun in advance to ensure someone wins the hunt this year. But Kelly swiftly takes the gun from Riley while Richie helps his wounded brother reach the church. That's the only way to end the horror unfolding in the town. The sheriff gives Riley another gun, and he continues shooting. Eventually, Jim can't go any further. He collapses on the church steps in the arms of his younger brother. Richie threatens Riley with the stolen gun, preventing him from getting closer. But suddenly, Jim aims the gun in Richie's hand at his own head. He wants to end his suffering quickly. Richie is forced to fulfill his brother's wish. A triumphant crowd envelops Richie. He has become the town's hero, celebrated for what everyone perceives as a triumph over the monster. Yet, only Richie, his father, and Kelly grasp the true horror unfolding. Trapped in a vicious cycle, Richie faces the ominous prospect of becoming the next Sawtooth Jack. A festive celebration ensues in the town to honor the victor. The Harvest Guild members are content, convinced that their plan is unfolding seamlessly. However, Richie remains resolute. He invites Kelly to dance and proposes they leave together. In a discreet exchange, Kelly passes a gun to Richie. Despite understanding the danger of their plan, indifference prevails in the moment. The couple shares a kiss, leaving onlookers bewildered. As the evening concludes, the guild presents Richie with a check for $25,000 and a new car. Richie feigns composure, pretending everything is in order as he departs. Richie's father anticipates that the sheriff will now pursue his son, prompting him to devise a plan to confront the impending threat.
I let one son down. I'm not about to let another one down.
The man fires, but misses. Richie drives to the spot where he and Kelly agreed to secretly meet. The couple continues their journey towards the town's exit, reveling in the anticipation of freedom and believing they can escape. However, the sheriff is already catching up to their car. A combine harvester blocks the way out of town, forcing Richie to stop. He asks Kelly to hide and leave on her own if he doesn't return. Richie steps out of the car to confront the sheriff. The sheriff, at gunpoint, compels him to walk into the depths of the cornfield. When they reach the crucifixion site, Richie abruptly shoots the sheriff, catching him off guard. Richie demands an explanation for why the sheriff orchestrated this absurd hunt and tormented the boys year after year. The sheriff, in desperation, admits that it has always been the way of the town, and no one bothered to question why. In a fit of rage, Richie eliminates the madman and leans over the freshly dug pit. Enraged yet victorious, Richie is suddenly struck on the head by the farmer with a shovel, causing him to fall into the pit. Injured, Richie is buried by the farmer. Once the gruesome act is done, the bulldozer clears the road ahead of the car where a weeping Kelly sits. She realizes that she can no longer save her beloved. Richie's father approaches her, urging her to leave quickly. In despair, she drives far away from this cursed place. Some time passes. The farmer returns to the crucifixion site, hangs Richie lifeless on it, and places a pumpkin on his head. Halloween arrives, and Richie's father comes to the field. He takes his son off the crucifix, then deals with the farmer. Richie, now in the guise of Sawtooth Jack, gathers himself and prepares to burn down the accursed town. Is it realistic to scare people to the extent that they would sacrifice their own children? Share your opinion in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.